Thank you, Yano. That was very wonderful. Okay, we are coming to our final presenter. Mohabbat is the imam of the Central Coast Islamic Center of Santa Maria. He often speaks at ICON meetings and has a lot of wonderful stories. So another incentive for you to come. Mohammed was born in Afghanistan and was the first exchange student from that country to the United States. He is the author of the internationally selling book, My Name is Mohammed, which is back on our resource table. Mohammed is a man of many talents. He's worked as an engineer, a high-end professional photographer. He's a musician and songwriter, an inspirational speaker, and a TV personality. He is a world traveler who has twice gone on pilgrimage to Mecca. He is a women's rights supporter and an advocate for all children. Currently the vice president of ICON, I know him and have known him for many years as a man who has risked his life, literally, to stand up for truth and justice. Mohammed?
Thank you, Pam, for that beautiful introduction. First of all, I would like to thank all the presenters for the beautiful talk that they gave us. And most of all, I'd like to thank you for coming here. You took a precious time from your weekend. You came here to face a terrorist. That's a bravery that I'm thinking. That's awesome. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about what's currently happening in the Islamic world. I'm not going to go to the history of Islam. I'm not going to go to all other stuff. But feel free at the end of the presentation to ask any questions, as many questions. That's my favorite part of my presentation. Don't be shy. Just say it. That's why you're here. So since we have only 20 minutes, the only thing I'm going to be talking about is Islam and terrorism, which is really a hot topic today. You know, every time you hear the word Islam, automatically the terrorism jumps in there. Even for me now, I've heard it so many times that every time I hear Islam, even if somebody doesn't say that, it just jumps there, that Islam and terrorism. So let's get really deep into this and see what's going on here and who is behind this and what the truth is and what are they feeding us. Well, how many of you do you know what Islam actually means? Yeah. Islam, like our sister said, shalom, salam. It goes thousands of years back. It means peace. This is the only religion that's not named after a tribe, after a person, or after anything else. It's universal. Peace and submission. Even though Muhammad, our prophet, peace be upon him, he introduced that to us, but he did not name it after himself. It's not a Muhammadan religion. A lot of people make that mistake. It's universal. So now we know what Islam means. It means peace. Do you know what terrorism means?
To create fear.
Well, terrorism has official meaning. It's a definition. A lot of people have no clue what they're talking about when they say Islam and terrorism. Terrorism officially is defined by the world and the United Nations and the United States to inflicting fear upon the civilians for political gain. That's it. There's no religion involved in that. For political purposes. That's the official definition of terrorism. to bring fear into civilians, to harm them, to do whatever, so you can gain something politically. And it's usually, it goes all the way to murder and kidnapping and violence or whatever. And the literal, meaning of terrorism is to terrorize people, to bring fear into their hearts. Now we see on the other one hand, peace, Islam peace. The other hand is violence. How can you marry these together? It's an oxymoron. We are self-contradicting with these two things. How can you be peacefully violent? I can't get that myself. Or how can you be violently peaceful? Does it make any sense to you? So let us think for a while. What am I talking when I say Islamic terrorism? So why is this out there? Because they want to poison our brains and our minds. Because we're too busy in our lives to go and think and read and analyze things. They made Islam as a monster. Islam was not born on September 11th. It's been around for 1,000 years. Goes all the way back to Abraham when he said, I am the first Muslim. Because also Islam means to submit to God's will. It comes from two Arabic words, salama, and so it comes from taslim and also from peace. So whoever submits to God's will is a Muslim. That's it. How many of you do you submit peacefully, voluntarily to God's will? See, everybody does. Look at you. So you're all literally Muslims. Now that I called you Muslim, do you say, oh my gosh, I'm not a terrorist? That's what Muslim is. So we have to think rather than being fed by the media. The whole world is open to us right now. Google is your friend. Internet is your friend. Just type there. Say, what does Islam say about murder? What does Islam say about violence? What does Islam say about women? What does Islam say? These are not written by Muslims. Go check, read, and say, oh my gosh, what are they telling us and what the reality of life is? There are almost 2 billion Muslims in the world. If one of them could kill bin Laden, I'm talking about 3,000 of us, can you imagine how many people or 2 billion Muslims can annihilate and there'll be nobody left on this planet? We have Muslims in our community right over here and everywhere and every place. They're serving our community. They're healing us. They're feeding us. They're helping us. We have wonderful 2 awesome physicians right here, Muslims. We don't know because they don't look like monsters. They're still like us, the human beings. So they're studying hard to heal us, to help us. We have amazing, amazing dentists here with his wonderful, wonderful family. We go to them to, fix our pains and give us beautiful smiles. They're not killing us. We have amazing grocery store owners, and we have businessmen, we have surgeons, we have right in this community right here. So why are we zeroing in on something that's not really correct and accurate? We have so much violence in our own community here. How many people are being murdered by gangs and other killers and this and that? We ignore that. Right here in our own community. Being stabbed, being kidnapped, being this, as if that's nothing. Human life is human life, whether it's taken by a black or a white or a Muslim or Jew or a Christian. Life is precious. And that's evil. So let's not subdivide evil. If the evil is committed by this person, we're going to call it this. If it's committed by this, murder is murder, that's it. And God says, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill. He doesn't say that if you're a Muslim, thou shalt not kill. If you're another religion, it's okay, go ahead. So let us think for a while. My brothers and sisters, we have to wake up. The reason there's conflict out there in the world has nothing to do with religion. It's about greed, about control, about territory. If it was a religious war, as they're just feeding us like that, why aren't rabbis and priests and imams and mullahs out there pulling each other's beards and boxing each other? I would say that's a religious war. Now, why aren't they attacking here? They're not attacking any churches here. Why? Any synagogues? They're not bombing any religious places. Why were they attacking Pentagon? Can you think of that? It's not a religious war. We go over there to take control of the oil and the territory, everything, and they say, well, you can't have it. You kill me, I kill you. That's how it's going on. And over here, we call them terrorists. They call their own people heroes. And then we call our people hero, and they call us terrorists. It depends on who you talk to. One person terrorist is another person's hero, and the vice versa. Every human being has the right to defend themselves and their land and their honor and their people and their resources. There should be no transgression against other people, and then you call them bad names by their religion. If one of us does something stupid, a killer, we call them such and such shooter. We don't go into their religion or race or anything else. This guy who killed so many people in Las Vegas, I have yet to hear the president or anybody call him a terrorist. What does a terrorist look like? What does a terrorist do then? If he was a Muslim, then oh boy.
Yeah.
He took precious lives of so many people. Isn't that terrorism? What is terrorism then? But we just reserve that word for one religion. That's horrible. That's injustice. We may fool ourselves here in the United States, but there are 7 billion people out there who are laughing at us. And what kind of people are they? So we call this one a Sandy Hook shooter. We call that one a Virginia Tech shooter. We just call them shooters. My goodness.
They're terrorists.
They're shooting what? They're shooting human beings.
Yeah.
And these other people we call terrorists, they're shooting human beings as well. So what is the difference, and why are we subdividing evil? Evil is evil, let's call it evil. God has never used the word terrorist in any of our books. They call them evil, call them murderers. So we're saying, God, oh, we know better. We're going to call this person this because he's not one of us. So my dear brothers and sisters, Islam is a religion of peace, love, unity. In Islam, our Lord God, in this holy book, the Quran, says if you take one innocent human life, it is as if you have killed the whole humanity. Right here. How many people read that to you? And it says if you save one life, it's as if you have saved whole humanity. Does that fit the definition of terrorism? Our Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, by God, he's not a Muslim, and his He said that 3 times until somebody, his companion said, who are you talking about? Who is not a Muslim? He said, a person whose neighbor is not safe from his tongue and his actions. That is what Islam teaches us. A neighbor could be a Jew, a Christian, an atheist, whatever. And a neighbor can be just next door neighbor, next street neighbor, next town, or next country, or next continent. So if somebody is not safe even from your tongue, you're not a Muslim. That's what Islam teaches us. That's why we gravitate towards Islam. That is why Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world and in the United States. Regardless of all the media, nobody comes to your door and knocks and say, hey, you want to become a Muslim? Nobody does that. And I see a lot of people knock on my door, all this literature, you want to be saved, oh hallelujah, this and that. And still Islam is growing, regardless of all this thing, because that's God's religion, and God promised that this religion will be to the end of the end of time. So there's so much that I can share. There's so much that I want to tell you. And we have so little time. What I am going to do is actually give more time to you to ask me the toughest, the hardest, the worst question that you can think of. And I'll let you know that also I'm not actually even an Islamic scholar. I'm an engineer. I'm just a guy from on the street. If I can answer your questions, to your satisfaction. Can you imagine if you face an Islamic scholar, you sit with them, you ask them these questions, and how much they will teach you, what you will learn from them. So normally when I give speeches, there are a few things that Muslims or non-Muslims are asking me. The one is terrorism, the other one is about women. Why do you cover them? Why do you do this to them? Why do you, and that's, and a few other things. Why can you have more than one wife, up to this and that? These are the things that are really, really near and dear to my heart, and I can really answer them for you to the best of my knowledge. So I want to give you time right now, and afterwards also you can ask any of us questions, and toward the end I will be singing to you guys music so you'll know that, hey, we can have fun too. We're Muslims. We can have wild parties. We are party animals. We're just, I challenge anybody to be wilder than I am. But we don't display that all the time. And you see us different than who we actually are. So any questions, please go ahead and ask, please. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but the caliphate, what is the meaning of that?
Caliphate comes from Khalifa. So we cannot pronounce that, we call it Caliphate. Khalifa is a master, a leader, whether it's a...
More of an agent. It's an agent.
Yeah.
You as a human being in the Islamic philosophy says, "Inni ja'alun fil ardi khalifa," I'm making an agent for me. God made you as a creation human being to be his representative.
So a viceroy, a representative, somebody, so that's what Khalifa is.
Exactly. You're the ambassador. That's why your job is to do good. That's the whole.
The ambassador, right.
On earth.
So sometimes people can claim, I'm the Khalifa, I'm this. It's the claim. But sometimes it's really the person. The Khalifa is were Khulafai Rashidin, the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his followers, his companions, those were, the Khalifas. But now that word is being used by some people as well, and it depends on who you talk to, how you define that. Any other questions? That was a good one. Yes?
Okay, but I'm sorry, if you want, just before you ask the question, there is a difference, which is Brother Muhammad said great job. The caliphate in the sense of it's an agency, it's those people who actually basically, they were the agents. Suppose the word caliph is the guy who's supposed to be a successor of Prophet Muhammad. So that is political term. But originally, the meaning, the word is caliph. Like if I tell you you're my caliph in Santa Maria Ocean, you're going to open my office, close it, take care of you are I'm not here anymore. I'm going to Japan, and for 2 months, you're my caliph. So you're my agent. You do everything on my behalf. But that's the meaning of the word. But there is a political meaning of it. It's those who actually rule by the group.
Okay.
And then it's those success.
Yes, sister, you had, before
Yeah.
I say anything, first of all, I'd like to also mention that in Islam, we do believe that we come from Adam and Eve, peace be upon them. So we're all referred to each other as brothers and sisters. We're all one family. So we always call each other sister so-and-so, brother so-and-so, regardless of what we look like. Okay, sister, go ahead.
Well, you defined terrorism, and I'm sure that you found it officially in a dictionary. And so if terrorism is an act that's perpetrated by someone to instill fear in others for political purposes, then it would seem to me that it might apply to world leaders who do just that, instill fear in their own country.
Beautiful, yes. I love that. You got it.
We're going to nominate you to run for president.
See that? No, you really. They say, oh, if you do this, I'm going to fire you. If you do this, I'll do this to you. That is a real terrorist. And then there's, like I said, a literal definition of terrorism. Anybody who you're terrified from, that's a terrorist. And in my own personal theory, don't make this into Islam or my religion or whatever. I'm speaking for myself. There are two types of quote-unquote terrorists. I call one white terrorist or the good terrorist. One is the evil. And now you're scratching your heads, what is he talking about? We also need good terrorists. And we actually have them and we pay them. Like a police. When you see the red light shining behind you and you're driving, you're terrified.
But are they doing it for political purposes?
No, I'm talking about literal terrorism, not the actual official definition. We need that. When you stand in front of a judge, you're terrified. But that's necessary. We pay them because without them, there will be no law and order. So some terrorism is not talking about the political type, the literal type. And then there are bad guys. And they do evil. I believe terrorism is not related to any godly religion. God is, when we know the attributes of God, that He's so merciful. We all talked about mercy, love, togetherness, and this. Why would a God create awesome, beautiful, the best of His creation, and then tell somebody, go destroy them? Even kids, if you destroy their little toy or whatever, they cry, they don't want to do that. To me, that's not God who says, go harm an innocent person. I will deny that God. I will deny that book. God is creating us, and He sends us these books and all the guides and everybody, all the messengers, to put us on the right path, to live in peace, harmony, togetherness. Look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, everybody's God, we call Him Allah, says in this book. It says, "O humankind, I created you from a single soul," meaning Adam, "from whom I created his mate," meaning Eve, "and from both of them I created numerous men and women on this planet. And then I created you, or divided you, or whatever you say, into tribes and nations, so that you may be recognized." Can you imagine if we were all clones of each other, looked exactly the same? We would not be fun, or we would not recognize. We look different, we speak different, so that we can be recognized from each other. And then our God continues, says, indeed, the best one, the most honorable one among you is the one who is the most God-fearing, the one who really follows God's instructions. Whoever does that, that's the one who is near to God. He doesn't say whether you're white or black or yellow or American or whatever. That's how God teaches us in our holy book. Okay, go ahead.
This is sort of a statement, and yet I want to know what you think about what I'm going to say. Well, you know, I agree with everything you said. The terrorists are not to be connected with the religion.
Correct.
But people assume the name of the religion to justify what they're doing. ISIS comes to mind. Here in America, we have Christians who kill abortion clinic doctors.
Correct.
In the name of their religion. But we know enough about their religion to know that that isn't what they're supposed to be
Correct.
doing.
Yes.
That's not what their religion says to do.
Yes.
And it's the same thing true. But that's where some of the misconceptions come from.
That's very true. You just hit it right on the head. The thing is that the United States is so isolated by two huge oceans from the rest of the world. We're not interconnected like other countries and other places are. So, and also we're so busy earning a living, and we're too complacent to go and study on our own. We have only a few minutes to listen to the news or a talk show or somebody, and they love that. They laugh all the way to the bank by inciting you that, oh, this guy is a terrorist, they're this. Whatever they're yapping, we take that for granted because we think media is our best source. Every human, anybody behind a microphone is a human being. They have their own bias, depending on their life's experience, their upbringing, and their, religion, race, where they're from. There's always something, and also who is supporting them, who is paying for that station. It's all commercialized.
But even when they are trying their very best to be honest,
Yeah.
they still make mistakes.
They make mistakes,
Yeah.
but also the politicians love that too,
Yeah.
because it justifies the war. Why is war good for some countries? It creates jobs for them. The ammunition, the guns, the tanks, the airplanes, the bombs, the drones, and this and that. When they have nothing else to do for us internally, they divert our attention to something else. Oh, look at these people are going to come and get you the Chicken Little, that the sky is falling down, so that we cannot complain, hey, what about my health? What about my education? What about my job? What about this and that? There's nothing going on here. So what they do, it's a diversion tactic. They say, well, we're going to do this and that, and they just incite us about that, so we're distracted into... Yes, sir?
Actually, I want Don had a question.
Okay, Don.
Yeah, my question is in the Christian Bible history, Israel people got out of Egypt, and then God commanded to attack in Palestinian people. God commanded to kill all people in Palestinian region, including children, even animals. And the Islamic history also, Mohammed and his people attacked Mecca, and they had more than 70 wars with a physical killing. How do you understand physical killing because of idol worshippers and different beliefs?
Okay.
If the reason was idol worshipping or different belief,
Okay. Thank you for that.
Today,
Yeah.
they had to kill each other because of idol worshiping or different beliefs.
Thank you for that wonderful question. I love these kind of questions. I live for this kind of question. When you read a history, you should read it from the perspective of the person who wrote it. Was that person a Muslim? Did that person have a bias? You talked about, attacking Mecca. Muhammad was born there. He came with peace for people. They persecuted him. They killed those people they were torturing his followers. He had no choice but to immigrate and run away in the middle of the night, all the way to another city called Medina. They all left everything behind, their homes, their wealth, their relatives, whatever they had. Even there they were being persecuted because they were spreading God's word rather than, worshiping idols. All these battles that you read about they're all defensive battles. They had to defend themselves in order to live and survive. They were being persecuted all the way there until they grew stronger and bigger. More people saw the beauty in Islam. They joined Islam. Eventually, these people had to go back to their homeland where they were driven out of. They came there and the people surrendered. There were no match again anymore for the Muslims. What did Muhammad say? He said, "You're all forgiven." He did not slaughter this and that. Even the person who killed his own uncle, he forgave him. That's the beauty of Islam. That's when they all fell down and said, "We accept Islam," because what a beautiful, forgiving, awesome religion it is.
So are you agreeing even nowadays, do you think it is okay to do defensive attacking, defensive war, even now, 21st century?
That's a good question. Do you believe in somebody defending their life and property and honor or not? If somebody attacks you and your wife and your grandchildren, do you believe in defending them, or do you believe in, say, here, have them? Wouldn't that be coward?
Yeah, Lance, I like that.
Yes.
I'd like to answer that question.
Would you give it a
Oh.
microphone? Or stand up,
I'd like to ask you that question,
Sure.
but as a statement,
Good.
as an Israeli.
Yes.
I think that we, meaning Israel and the Nation of Islam that wants to move into Israel, the Palestinian people, are going to have to step away from the paradigm of it's okay to defend our land, because it doesn't work. What we have, at least in my vision of what we have coming towards each other, is our holy book says this, your holy book says that, this is our land, and we're going to fight to the death forever. I think we all need to step away from that paradigm and go into something new in order to finally find peace. And I don't know what that is going to look like, but it can't look like this.
Very beautifully stated. I think if everybody sticks to their own claim that God gave me this land, God does not grant anybody any land and say this is exclusively yours, and anybody cross here, you kill them. He is not that cruel. The whole world is created for all of us human beings. That's why we migrate and mix and mingle. Look at here how many different people we are. That's the beauty of what God created
I
us
agree
for.
with you, but I think the primitive right to defend yourself is not as essential. Same, even a United Nations one.
No,
Which is,
to
I think,
answer your
two different
question,
things maybe we're talking about, like it's basically an immediate threat. I'm coming out of the library and I'm walking you to a car and some punk is approaching you, and I think, no, I believe in self-defense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will allow, these evil forces. I think that part of your actually being a caliphate in this earth is to protect you. That's my job. Otherwise, evil will actually become that much. But I agree with you, because some people say even Al-Aqsa Mosque is the same like Solomon Temple. Now, whether that temple belong to you or belong to us, we can talk about that. That's separate. But I think the immediate defense is legitimate. I can see it not legitimate. I can see somebody attack you.
And to answer your question, I haven't been answering her, I'm sorry. The best solution is communication.
Yeah.
Sit down, talk to each other. Don't say, oh, I'm the only right person and you're completely wrong. That's where we get into fight. Even with the people we call terrorists or bad guys, whatever grievance they have, let's sit down and talk. So what are you mad about? Why are you attacking us? Why are you killing us? And sit down and either teach them something or learn something from them or compromise or something and say, okay, are you happy now? We're happy. Let's shake hands and be united. That's how it works, whether it's in Israel or the rest of the world. The only thing that differentiates us from other animals is our communication skills. Communicate like you came here, you communicated. You're the ones who learned something today. This is how we learn from each other, to sit down around the table peacefully. Okay, brother or sister, we all want to live in this area, in this land, and this and that. We all are God's creation. This land is created by God. Let's be good neighbors and have fun and support each other. And what's wrong with that? I don't know. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to add to the conversation, just as we talk about defending ourselves and that kind of stuff. From the Christian point of view, you cannot make the case for just war from the New Testament. You can make it from the Old Testament, you can make it from the Hebrew Scriptures, but from the New Testament you can't. And what happens, when you've got Jesus, I mean, and this is totally just, why we needed a Savior in the first place, because we cannot wrap our minds around this. But when you have Jesus who says, what you do is you turn the other cheek. And if somebody asks you for this, then you give them more than that. You've got this profound kind of emptying. And what happens in the New Testament is that the family thought process begins to open in a different way, and we stop talking about security. Security is not a New Testament value. And what we start talking about is faithfulness and giving ourselves away. So when you move into that kind of theology in the New Testament, you die to live. So the greatest love is for a person to give their life for another. So that sense of how to even enter into the conversation about the land, we just throw up our hands because we don't know how to even have that conversation. Because if you've got for us, God incarnate saying, turn the other cheek, give it all away. The highest form of life is to give your life for your brother.
To share things in common.
Yeah, to share everything in common. There's no such thing as borders, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff that is so totally countercultural to the world that we live in. Then that's when we just have to hit our knees and say, Lord, have mercy, we don't know what to do with this.
I just have to add to that. I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing these children. And I'm imagining us, there are Muslims here, there are a couple Jewish people. We get together and we say, okay, we're putting everything off the table. We're going to build a world for these children. It's not going to have tanks in it, and it's not going to have bombs in it. And we've got to start today. And I think that's the only way that we can step away from what we're tangled in, that historically the world has been tangled in since the beginning of culture. We've been tangled in this I and other, and we're clashing.
And winning.
Right.
But we all win when we all survive, when we all thrive. Can you imagine if the way Israeli Jews build stuff if that could be employed for the Palestinians, nobody would have any troubles. And they would all be employed, and they would all be living in air-conditioned houses with pools.
The thing is that what we're saying here and thinking and talking about, 99% of the world is the same thought, feel the same way. They want to live in peace, harmony, togetherness, help each other, turn the other cheek. It's only that 1% evil that has taken over the world. Whether it's Christian or Jew or Muslim or Hindu or whatever, it's greed, human greed, it's politicians, it's I have more power, I can do this to you. That's the part that is wrong. Rather than saying, I have more power, I can help you stand up. We say to a child, I have more power than you, I can punch you. Rather, I can lift you. So it's actually the politicians, the greed, those are the ones who are really, we're all victims of that. Every single one of us, if we can get rid of that evil thoughts of a real small portion of people who are doing this to us, we'll be in a beautiful.
Where all the
Could I
money
just have
and
one
the
more,
power.
one sentence?
Sorry.
Jim.
I want to thank you all for all your beautiful questions,
Jim wants to
and
talk.
I will be here for longer if you have any questions, but anybody who needs to leave, feel free, but if you want to stay and mingle and ask questions, that's fine. Go ahead. Thank you so much all.
Let me, Jim, you want to come up here?
No,
Oh.
I'm loud enough. The comment that I want to make is, I urge you to stop thinking of ourselves as Germans, Brazilians, Nigerians, and think of ourselves as human beings. We are one race, made by one God.
Right.
And when we think of it that way, we couldn't take his money, we couldn't rob her, because that's my sister, this is my brother. But to stand here and talk about we're all brothers and sisters and still exploit each other and still violate all the religions, I don't think that's the way we want to go. Mankind is one. There's one God, one people, one world. Let's think like that. And then when the thought of evil comes, let's replace it with a thought of peace. Thank you.
I love these kinds of discussions, and we really appreciate all of you being here. Join us at an ICON meeting. We love to continue the conversation. And as Jim said, we are all brothers and sisters. We are all one. Let us get together in a safe place and talk and love each other. Thank you.